My name is Chris Ruggs, and we're happy to have you with us this evening for our 14th CAT meeting focused on the Bethesda, Chevy Chase area. This meeting is being recorded, and you'll find this evening's presentation, along with that recording soon, on our website, purplelinemd.com. We are also informing all attendees tonight that the use of AI-powered tools, including transcription, summarization, or other similar features, is prohibited by the Maryland Department of Transportation for all virtual meetings, such as our Microsoft Teams meeting tonight. Please be assured this presentation will be available to view on the Purple Line website as soon as possible, along with responses to questions that are answered tonight. For those of you who would like a live translation, Microsoft Teams format can translate this evening's comments into a number of languages, including Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, French, and many others. Instructions for seeing live translations are being placed in the chat section of this meeting. We kindly ask everyone to please mute your microphones and keep your cameras off until the presentation ends and we move into questions. Catherine Webb, a member of the MTS Communications and Outreach team, will now relay this information to you in Spanish. Catherine.
Buenas tardes. Esta reunión se está grabando y pronto se encontrará la presentación de esta noche junto con la grabación en nuestro sitio web purplelinemd.com. También informamos a todos los asistentes de esta noche que el Departamento de Transporte de Maryland prohíbe el uso de herramientas basadas en inteligencia artificial, incluidas las transcripciones, resúmenes o otras funciones similares, en todas las reuniones virtuales como nuestra reunión de Microsoft Teams de esta noche. Le aseguramos que esta presentación estará disponible en el sitio web de Purple Line lo antes posible, junto con las respuestas y las preguntas respondidas. Para quienes desean una traducción en vivo, el formato Microsoft Teams puede traducir los comentarios de esta noche a varios idiomas, como español, árabe, chino, francés y muchos otros. Las instrucciones para ver las traducciones en vivo se encuentran en el chat de esta reunión. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Next slide. So this is just a meeting overview for what we're going to go over this evening. We're going to start with some staff introductions, show you a project status video, go over some construction update information, work completed, some progress photos, and then go over some upcoming work along this section of the alignment. And then round it out with some community engagement information, and then finish with our question and answer session. So tonight we'll be joined by Ray Biggs II, our Senior Project Director for the Maryland Transit Administration, Doran Basso, the CEO of the Purple Line Transit Partners, Hugo Fontaroche, the Project Executive for the Maryland Transit Solutions, the project's builder, Luis Rivera, the General Manager of Purple Line Transit Operators, myself, Chris Scruggs, Community Outreach Manager, and Scott Glass, the MTS Construction Manager Lead. So this slide just is going to discuss we'll show the two stations they'll be talking about tonight, which will be the Bethesda station, the westernmost terminus of the alignment, and Connecticut Avenue station. And with that, I will pass this over to Ray for a little introduction.
All right, appreciate that, Chris. Welcome, everyone, and thank you again for joining us this evening for the CAT meeting. The momentum in 2024 on the Purple Line has evolved into the transformation you just saw in the photos that were shown before the meeting started, so hopefully you got to see those. I showed it before from 2024 to 2025. Tonight, you will see our 2025 spring progress video, including footage highlighting some of the transformational progress across the 16-mile Purple Line alignment. So Chris, Catherine, let's play the video, please. Overall, the project is more than 76% complete. Now let's take a look at some of the transformations across the alignment over the past year.
In Bethesda, we have gone from a rocky shaft to a concrete cavern, which will one day soon allow commuters easy access to the Metro's Red Line. In Chevy Chase, The Connecticut Avenue station is awash with color as the station continues to progress and have a transformative effect on the community around it. Over Rock Creek Park, there is a new Capitol Crescent Trail Bridge. This unique inverted truss bridge will be an iconic part of connecting the communities and the Rock Creek Trail system. The Littonsville Operations and Maintenance Facility and the Littonsville Station buildings can now be seen. The next transformation will be the installation of the many tracks in the yard.
Over in Silver Spring, the 16th Street station is now under construction. This makes all 21 stations now under construction.
The Silver Spring Transit Center is being transformed into an even more important connection point as crews construct stairs and elevator connections to the nearly complete Purple Line station. Crews have also completed the challenging structural work for the new mezzanine over the Metro and CSX tracks. Just outside of downtown Silver Spring, Wayne Avenue has more tracks, sidewalks, and curbs. Traffic has been moved onto the newly completed half of the Sligo Creek Bridge, and the trail access has been improved. Piney Branch Road has been totally transformed, with tracks embedded in the roadway and curbs and sidewalks along the entire length. University Boulevard has seen a tremendous transformation as crews complete over 95% of the curbs and sidewalks and have installed miles of tracks, including completing the most challenging crossings at Carroll Avenue, Riggs Road, and New Hampshire Avenue. At the UMD campus, tracks are installed across Adelphi Road, and most of the campus has catenary poles installed, and now prepares for system integration. Campus Drive, to the east of campus, now has the first pair of tracks installed, and drivers have been shifted to allow the final phases of restoration. Along River Road, stations, tracks, and even fencing have been installed. Kenilworth Avenue has also seen a major transformation as curbs, sidewalks, and driveways have been completed, allowing the track work to commence in the middle of the roadway. The flyover at Kenilworth Avenue and East-West Highway and the elevated station continue to impress. The access stairs and elevators are underway, and the station's clear windscreens are ready for riders. Along Riverdale Road, new street connections, ballast, and tracks can be seen making tremendous progress. Specialty crews have completed the beautiful stonework on the Baltimore-Washington Parkway bridges, and the Beacon Heights station is largely complete.
In case you didn't hear, we have started dynamic testing of our LRV light rails.
Along Veterans Highway, the new test track is powered up. An amazing milestone, as this area has been transformed into an active train line where the new light rail vehicles can be tested, operators can be trained, and the complex operation systems can be vetted. Tracks continue all the way to New Carrollton, as the east end of the alignment builds new connections to this important transportation hub.
Connecting metro stations and the communities across the alignment is one of the Purple Line's main goals. Soon you will see the state-of-the-art systems being installed across both counties, carrying the operational and communication systems for the LRV. Stay tuned for a lot more transformations coming very soon.
All right. So here you can see the timeline graphic with some of our upcoming major milestones, including our winter 2027 revenue service availability date. Tonight, you will see and hear more detail about the testing milestone that you just saw in the video achieved earlier this spring. So with that, I will turn it over to Scott to walk us through the construction slides, Thank you again, everyone. I will see you at the end to answer questions at the end of the presentation. Over to you, Scott.
Okay, thank you, Ray. To start, in the Bethesda, downtown Bethesda, where we have the Bethesda Station South entrance connection with the Purple Line Bethesda Station. In the bottom of our excavation, we are continuing the rock excavation. You can see in the photo here that we've now completed the concrete roof of the cavern and the main cavern concrete arch ceiling. We've begun the process of excavating the lower portion of the station and the cavern towards the bottom of the excavation. We make great progress every week, and right now we expect to be through this stage of the work by mid-June. Upcoming work in this area will complete the rock excavation, and we'll continue to start the concrete work, starting the cavern concrete floorings and walls, and then we'll be also starting the lobby excavation from the street level. Next slide, please. In the Woodmont Plaza area at the Bethesda Purple Line Station, we've been continuing the electrical and mechanical systems and plumbing systems inside the station. We have now had the stairs and escalator access to the street level completed, and we've been continuing preparations for track installation with the concrete track slabs through this underground portion of the alignment. We've begun the construction on the elevator head house at the plaza level, and we've also begun the installation of the elevators and the elevator machinery. We've also begun installation of all the station finishes. Upcoming work in this area will be finishing up on all of the mechanical systems installation and the ceiling finishes. We're closing in the ceilings right now with the final ceilings, and we'll be installing the electrical switchgear and the Pepco power feeder to the station. And then lastly, we have the retaining walls in this photo you see here that'll be completed in the next 2 to 3 months that will complete the very west limits of the Purple Line track alignment. Next slide, please. This is a photo inside the Bethesda enclosed trainway underneath Wisconsin Avenue in the commercial building areas. We've completed the jet fan support beams and the jet fan installation and all of the drainage installation down through this track alignment corridor, duct banks and safety walks. We've now got the track slab completed down through this entire corridor, ready for track installation. And we've completed the painting of the bridge and the bridge restoration underneath Wisconsin Avenue. Over the next months, we'll be installing track down through this area and finalizing all of the lighting and fire suppression through this trainway. Where we daylight at Pearl Street and Elm Street, we've completed the ramp connections to the Elm Street pedestrian bridge. We've completed the paving of the Capitol Crescent Trail from the Elm Street up to the Lynn Drive access to the project. And we've been continuing installation of railings and fencing on the walkways down through this corridor. Upcoming in this section of the work, we'll be finishing up on the trail lighting along this area and final fencing installations. And we soon will have the remainder of the rail that has not been installed down through this area installed, as well as start the installation of the overhead catenary poles. Next slide. From Pearl Street up to the Connecticut Avenue area, we have completed all of the retaining wall construction. We've continued the trail connection at East-West Highway. We've completed final grading and ballast curb installations through this area and continued this track installation. Very soon, in the coming days, we'll be completing the track installation at the Connecticut Avenue bridge. And following right behind that, we will close all of the ballasted track gaps between Connecticut Avenue and the BET, which is the Bethesda enclosed trainway at Pearl Street. We will be continuing and completing the work on the CCT trail through this corridor. And we'll also complete the trail connections at East-West Highway, Kent Berry Way, and Landmark Court. And then there is some miscellaneous small remaining retaining wall fencing to complete, as well as all of the catenary poles that will be installed through this area. Next slide, please. At the Connecticut Avenue station, we have completed power service installation. It's a fun fact on the project. We have a significant amount of Pepco power drops across the entire alignment, and every time we complete another one, it's a big milestone for our job. So we now have permanent power at the Chevy Chase Connecticut Avenue station. And we've completed the erection of the precast stairs here, which was a challenging feat. The station construction is continued with a lot of the structural steel elements and canopies over the walkways. And we've placed concrete on the CCT bridge over Connecticut Avenue. Upcoming work at this location will start and finish the installation of the water and sewer services to this access to the station. And we'll install all of the remaining fencing, including the fencing on the CCT bridge over Connecticut Avenue. And we'll complete the CCT connections to the station and to those local developments that are right in that area. Right now, we have the elevators installation in progress. We'll be completing that work, as well as all of the other mechanical and electrical installations in this access location. And then finally, in this corridor, we'll be continuing with the track and OCS pole erection. Next slide, please. At the Chevy Chase Lakes area, we have been working on closing up and finishing all of the retaining walls on the north side of the alignment. So we have now finalized the installation of all of the mechanically stabilized retaining walls along the north side of this corridor, and all of the noise walls that are installed on top of those, as well as on the south side, with the exception of the one access point that remains that is going to be closed up in the coming months. We've completed on Chevy Chase Lakes Drive, we completed the sewer relocation and the phase 1 traffic switch. We've started and are nearly complete with the 54-inch water main relocation that was required for the box culvert that will be starting soon. Upcoming in this area on Chevy Chase Lakes Drive, we'll complete this storm drain south of the Chevy Chase Lakes Drive in the phase of MOT that we're in right now, as well as the water and the storm drain relocations. And then we'll switch to the phase 2 MOT and complete the construction of the entire box culvert. We'll by fall of 2025, late summer to fall of 25, we'll have the roadway in restoration stage and completed by this fall. And all of that will coordinate with the fall planting season to complete the landscaping in that right-of-way area. Next slide, please. At Jones Mill, we've been continuing the excavation for the phase 2 of the bridge constructions. It's been very challenging geotechnical engineering challenges that we've encountered there and overcome that have prolonged that supportive excavation. But we are nearly on the north side of this abutment. We are at the bottom of the temporary supportive excavation, and we're working in the next few weeks to complete the south side. We'll complete this excavation, and we'll get into starting the foundations for this phase 2 structure work that will include the footers and the precast arches that will be erected and enable us to continue with the backfill and reconstruction of Jones Mill Road, as well as the CCT access that is at this location. This will be an access point that we use for the project through the fall. This will be one of the limited locations for access to install track and OCS poles from Connecticut Avenue all the way down through Rock Creek. Next slide, please. At Rock Creek Park area, we completed the erection of the CCT bridge over Rock Creek and the Rock Creek Trail. This is a significant complex steel structure that we erected. It's called a veer and deal truss. We placed the concrete bridge deck on that bridge, and we continued and are nearly complete with retaining walls on the west side of this bridge approach. And we're continuing with the retaining walls on the east approach and ramps up to the CCT to this bridge. Just to the east of this photo, there's a CCT underpass that we had significant challenges with the existing ground conditions, and we have completed those ground improvements and begun and nearly are already nearly complete with the structural concrete underpass that's under construction now. Upcoming in this area, we'll complete the trail connection from the CCT to the Rock Creek Trail system. We'll finalize the CCT bridge, and we'll install the fencing along this alignment corridor. We'll complete the underpass for the Rock Creek Trail and all of the remaining retaining walls, especially on the east side of this bridge approach. With that, I'm going to hand it off, and I think it's Doran who's going to walk us through this section.
Actually, Scott, I'm pitch hitting for Doran tonight.
Sorry,
Hi,
John.
everyone.
John Underlin.
All good. Hi, folks. I'm John Underlin with Purple Line Transit Partners. Doran had a conflict this evening and regrets not being able to be here with you tonight. Next slide. At any rate, well, as the confetti there on the slide indicates, we recently achieved a very exciting and significant milestone. Purple Line light rail vehicles, light rails, like LRVs for short, are now moving on a test track powered by the overhead catenary system, and we call this dynamic testing. But a video can tell the story a whole lot better than me, so let's check that video out. Seem to be having a sound issue here. Obviously, you're seeing the LRV running up and down the tracks here. All right, well, what you just got a sneak peek here. Let me just kind of give you the play-by-play of what you were watching there. We have our LRVs that are going up and down that 1 mile track. That's over by our operation and maintenance facility. You see the still shot there, and the lit building behind that, that's our major operation and maintenance facility. Over on the other end of the project, close to the Prince George's County terminus, we're currently not crossing any roads, sidewalks, or public access areas. The test track is fenced, and we've taken a number of safety precautions, including posting a large number of no trespassing and other signs. And if you find yourself over in that neck of the woods, just as a reminder, please do not go near the moving trains. Be aware that the overhead power wires are now live and carry quite a lot of electricity. We just want to make sure we're educating the public on LRV safety as we get nearer to expanding our testing out onto public roads eventually, and ultimately to operating trains with passengers on board, hopefully including every one of you in late 2027. And of course, this milestone, next slide, this milestone made a splash in the news. ABC 7, most of the Fox, the local TV stations, WTOP covered it. You may have seen it there first. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Carla to talk more about community engagement. Thanks.
Thanks, John. I'm going to take these community engagement slides. Very much appreciated. Next slide, please. Perfect. So this is just an outline, some of recent community engagement that's been happening from our outreach team. Our outreach team does attend dozens of in-person events throughout the year to connect with communities along the alignment. Some recent events that we've attended in 2025 have been the Maryland Day at University of Maryland, Sweep the Creek, hosted by Friends of Sligo Creek, DC Transit Day at the National Capital Trolley Museum with a lot of public transportation enthusiasts, which was very fun. We did some PT SA meetings at Sligo Creek Elementary and University of Maryland Career Fair. The team does present at school PTSA meetings throughout the year, sharing construction area updates and safety tips. Please visit purplelinemd.com for a full list of our event calendar. Next slide, please. Perfect, thank you. This is a public safety campaign that we have going on for cyclists, for scooters, pedestrians, micromobility users, etc. Just reminding people that when we are crossing Purple Line tracks to use crosswalks, cross at a right angle perpendicular to the tracks. Do not ride parallel in the trackway as tires can get caught in the embedded track. And to please use extra caution when it's wet or frozen outside as the rail can be slippery. This is just a couple little touch points on recent CAT member engagement. Our outreach team has held 2 listening sessions with CAT members in February to increase engagement and to gain insight for future outreach initiatives. Outreach and business engagement teams personally distributed postcards across the alignment promoting these spring series of CAT meetings. And if you are interested in becoming a Purple Line CAT member, please contact our outreach team at outreach@purplelinemd.com. I will pass this back to John.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Well, we're always really excited to talk about our Beyond the Rails Community Grant Program, which we established to provide nonprofit groups with additional funding to continue improving our local community with a focus on education, the environment, and safety. Among our past awardees are Interfaith Works Food Pantry, which serves lower income residents across Montgomery County, and One Montgomery Green, whose goal is to support Montgomery County's shift to a more sustainable economy and a better quality of life for all the county residents. Let me close with a pitch to each of you, to apply for one of our grants if you're associated with a group working to better our community. I'll just note that our deadline for the next set of applications at the end of this month, May 30th. Applying is as simple as filling out a 2-page online application. You just visit purplelinemd.com, click the resources tab up on the top, and you'll see the pull down menu to walk you through it. But if you got any questions, absolutely shoot us an email at grants@purplelinepartners.com, and we'll be glad to answer them. Now I'll hand it back to Ray.
Appreciate that, John, and always good to hear about the Beyond the Rails grant program. If we can drop the link that goes directly to that so that people know how to apply to it in the chat, that would be helpful. Now I just want to talk a little bit about the Purple Line Business Engagement Team. We work closely with the businesses along the alignment, keeping them informed about construction impacts, and we provide advanced notifications in both English and Spanish to ensure everyone stays updated. Our outreach efforts focus on minimizing disruption while maximizing awareness. In addition, we actively promote businesses through our website, monthly newsletter, and social media platforms. And I encourage you to visit our YouTube channel, where you'll find business spotlight videos showcasing local business establishments. This past February, MDOT, Maryland Department of Transportation, launched the Small Business Grant Award Program on Friday. And then on Friday, MDOT announced that $1 million in grant funding was awarded to more than 100 businesses along the alignment. The next application period opens on June 2nd, and you can find more details along with the application link at purplelinemd.com. We'll also drop that in the chat for you for those that wish to apply for the second phase. With that, I'll turn it back over to Chris Grubbs, and we'll begin any questions that we may have from attendees.
Perfect. Thank you, Ray. So we are going to start the question and answer session of the meeting tonight. But before we open the meeting to live questions, we will address questions we've received in advance of the meeting. So the first one I'm going to tap Scott Glass for, but the question is, can you please discuss the timing of laying track over Connecticut Avenue?
I'm sorry, I was switching my mic on, or I didn't hear the timing of What was the question?
Laying the track over Connecticut Avenue.
Yes, it's underway right now. They are the bridges on the project have a type of track called direct fixation, and it involves rails that are clipped to concrete blocks. They're called plinths, and those concrete plinths are being poured. It's a very specific process as far as the tolerances to ensure that rail is exactly on the elevations and alignment it's supposed to be on. And so the contractor is now doing that, and they'll be pouring those over the next week and installing rail in the next 2 weeks. So that process will all happen from above. There will not be lane closures on Connecticut Avenue.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott. The second question we received in advance of the meeting was, when will the Capitol Crescent Trail be complete and reopened? The answer to that is, as shared previously in other CAT meetings, the Capitol Crescent Trail will open when it is safe to do so, and the current schedule estimates the CCT being completed by spring of 2026. Now that we've gone through the advanced questions, we're going to open this up to a open question and answer session where you have two options to ask your questions. You can place it in the chat feature, which is on the top of this meeting. You alternatively can raise your hand and you can ask questions live here in person to project leadership. I do see one hand that was raised right away, so I'm going to start there. Barney, if you want to ask your question, we'd love to hear it.
Okay. I'm the vice mayor of the town of Chevy Chase. So actually, I have a few questions that my colleagues have put to me and I want to put together. Very good news. First of all, generally the construction progress, very, very pleased to see it. Great to hear that the Capitol Crescent Trail might be opened in the spring of 2026. That would be terrific. We'd be very pleased about that. Two other questions quickly about progress. One is, when will the tracks be laid along the town of Chevy Chase? That is to say, specifically between East-West Highway and the portal.
Scott, do you want to take that one?
Yes, those are coming. Actually, there is some that has been. Both sets of tracks are laid from Lynn Drive to Connecticut Avenue. I know
they're laid as far as the Riviera, but I'm really talking about from the Riviera up to the portal.
Yeah, up to the portal. That's going to happen within the next 3 months. There's two different types of installation there. That's ballasted track on the exterior of the tunnel, and then inside that enclosed trainway, it is this direct fixation track. It's two different contractor crews that do that work, so they have to make their access to that enclosed trainway from Lynn Drive, and that work will take them about 6 weeks to do the enclosed trainway, and then they will close that gap pretty quickly with the ballasted rail that you're talking about.
Thank you. The other question is, we've heard discussion of potentially opening up the bridge that's been built over on the CCT. Is it just from Elm Street Park to the ramp down to Pearl Street, and opening that up even earlier than waiting for the full CCT to be opened? Can you comment on that, please?
Yeah, that section of the bridge will be on the same timeline as the remainder of the trail. One of the things that we use that trail for, and that access will be for our equipment to work alongside the rail. A lot of our remaining work will be along the CCT with the installation of the clear barrier wall that will be installed really through the course of the year, and that will include that access at that point when we have our work vehicles entering and exiting that location from it's a big safety risk to have public using it at the same time. It's too dangerous. There's also lighting that we are waiting. I mentioned the Pepco milestones. Every time we get a connection, there's one that we've been waiting for to get connected for the lights that are on the ramp portion of that.
Okay, then there was a disconnect. We had heard from the county that there was a real prospect that the bridge would be opened as early as this fall, but I guess that's not the message you're giving us tonight.
Yeah, that is not consistent with what we have been communicating.
All right. So what you're saying is it'll be open at the same time that the trail as a whole is open. So that would be spring of 2026, not
That's
before.
correct.
Okay. On lighting, there's a request that's come through the county that matters a lot to residents in the back of our town, which is to shield the lighting from going straight into their backyards. Is that something you guys are working on now for a solution to that?
Yes, as soon as we have the lights installed, they'll be evaluated for that, and we'll take a look at how we can shield those. There are, shields that are made for that purpose.
I would think that'd be solid. Okay. And then the last question I have, which is actually one you guys offered to answer tonight, goes to a longstanding issue that you're certainly familiar with, which has to do with the horn and the issue that the town has, which is not having it blast every time a train goes in. And we've asked this question several times, and just recently we got a note back from Catherine Lamb saying that tonight you would offer an answer as to what your updated view is of the policy about that horn and what can be done about it.
Appreciate the question there. And yes, we do have some more details we can share on that. And I'm gonna ask our safety director, Roland Carroll, to come on to talk more about the audible alerts that will be used on the Purple Line.
So to that question, as far as the direct facing horn that will be attached to the BET itself, that will not sound every time the train goes in and out of the tunnel. That's mainly designed for work that is being done. So that's a safety measure that's in place to warn any workers inside the tunnel that the train is approaching. So it will not be an in and out thing. It's not designed about that. That's something that we discussed.
Let me just make sure I'm clear in the answer. I just want to make sure I get this. You may be aware that back in 2022, we had an agreement with the prior administration of the Purple Line that that horn would only blast when workers would actually be on the tracks or working around the tracks, and that otherwise it would not. Is that what you are now saying is also the case tonight? Are you saying the same thing tonight, that it will only be used when there actually would be work on the tracks, but otherwise will not be sounded?
That's what I've been made aware of. Luis is on as well. He's the GM for PLTO, who can speak to that as well.
I'll be glad to hear. Who's the other gentleman who addressed this?
Luis.
Luis Rivera. Yeah, that's correct. The bells would not sound, the train bells would not sound when the train would traverse entering the tunnel. The bells will sound once it arrives or depart the platform right inside the tunnel. Talking about the device, right, that Roland was talking, the device is a warning device for when we have workers doing maintenance inside the tunnel, right? So every time that the train approaches the tunnel, that device, will have an audible speaker, right, and a bell or a buzzer that will alert the employee inside the tunnel. And
but when workers are not in the vicinity, then it will not.
Correct. It will not do anything. The train will go in as usual, and then it will ring the twice bells. But it's when approaching the platform. So it's
I understand. So from the point of view of our residents who live right at the entrance to the portal, they would only hear that horn when work might actually being done. But if work is not being done on the tracks, they will not hear anything.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay, well, that is excellent news. We're very, very pleased to hear that tonight, because this has been a longstanding issue and our residents have been very concerned. I'd be very grateful if we could have that in writing, which I'd like to follow up on, but it'd be wonderful to get that memorialized again, because there had been a lot of back and forth and we felt this issue had been resolved and was unresolved. We're very pleased that you've now committed to resolving in a way that we can work with. So thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Welcome.
Just to add to what they're saying, so all the audible warnings and horns and bells will be tested and evaluated during the live testing, and will be adjusted as needed for the sounds and all of that during the testing phase. But yes, we wanted to make sure they came on and confirmed all of that for you. And just to reiterate who everyone is here that was just speaking, Roland Carroll is the Maryland Transit Administration Safety Director for the Purple Line, and Luis Rivera is the General Manager for Purple Line Transit Operators, who will operate the system on behalf of Maryland Transit Administration for the operation period of 30 years.
Very good. Okay, thank you for that. And I really appreciate your coming back with this answer tonight. We're very, very pleased. Appreciate it.
Welcome. Back to you, Chris, unless you have any other questions.
No, those were the those are the headline items. So thank you.
Back to you, Chris. Chris may be having audio issues, so I'll jump in. I see we have one hand up. George, if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, thank you. My question is, do you foresee financial storm clouds still ahead? It occurs to me that these tariffs may affect your ability to acquire steel for the tracks, and your LRVs may well be made overseas. Is the financial planning all in order still?
I would say yes, but I'll ask Scott to come on to talk a little bit more about the materials piece. But on the vehicles, all our vehicles are already ready to come down. We have 8 of them already at our operation and maintenance facility, and 20 of them are up in Elmira, New York, awaiting us to come down to the yard. Once that's completed, we'll start bringing those down throughout the year to get all 28 down here. So nothing on the vehicles, but Scott, I don't know if you have anything to add on that piece.
On the infrastructure, with regard to rails and steel for the infrastructure, all of those materials are procured at this point, and a lot of these vendors have been begging us to make deliveries for the last year. So there's rail, catenary poles, steel for bridges. All of these things have been fabricated for the project, and they're available and ready to come in. There are not at this point any procurements as far as electrical and control systems that we're aware of, but those are things that could have some. For the most part, those things are all procured as well, but there's always surprises.
Thank you. That's good news.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, George. We're going to jump to the chat quickly. Amanda has a question. Has Purple Line officially provided Montgomery Parks with a site plan for the quote tail tracks area in Bethesda, also known as the future Capitol Crescent Park? Ray, do you want to address this, or do you want to
let us follow up with that, and we'll confirm after the meeting and make sure if we haven't already given information to provide it to Montgomery Parks.
Perfect. I'm going to take one more from the chat since we're here. Bruce asks, when will the road area at the Jones Bridge intersection over the Purple Line be completed? Scott, do you want to jump on this one?
Yes, I can respect the frustration with the timeline there. As I mentioned, this is one of the critical access points, limited access points that we have to the alignment through that corridor. So the access will be maintained for us to get in through the testing stage, really through the delivery of the CCT is the last point. We'll be using this access next spring. And on the same timeline, that bridge will be reopened to traffic.
Perfect. Thank you, Scott. We have one more hand raised. We have Clark. Clark, if you want to ask your question, we'd love to answer it. Clark, if you want to ask your question, or maybe you raise your hands on accident, but if you have a question, we'd love to hear from you. No worries. If not, we can come back. But I have one more in the chat here from Amanda. When will fares be determined and how will they be enforced? Ray, do you want to take this one?
Yes, I'll take that. So we're working on the what the fares will be. It's being handled at Maryland Transit Administration, and it's being worked together and working on the details of that. We don't have an exact date on that, but it is being discussed and will definitely be determined before we open up. So that I can reassure you. And as far as sorry, the last part of the question, how will they be enforced? We will have the fare ambassadors that will be on the trains and all of that, periodically checking to ensure that everyone has paid their fares. If you haven't been on the Baltimore light rail system, they have something similar up there, and that is how that will be enforced, because it is a different system from how we are set up on the light rail than what most people are used to down here around the WMATA system. I will say that we will take both the Charm card, which is from the MTA side, and Smart Trip card, making that ease of transition from one system to the other, which is what we're really trying to do here with the Purple Line and connecting the communities and to make it easier to get around. And Chris, I do see Joel has his hand up. I don't know if we want to go to Joel now.
Sure, Joel, we'd love to answer your question.
Yes, in the comment, I didn't get a chance to answer my ask the question because I had this feature on my phone, the chat. And when I looked at the chat, I said, Joel is gone. He didn't come. He left the meeting. I'm not gonna push this button near the telephone. But anyhow, I guess you did answer that question about the fare. My bus, my area, going to be eliminated, and they're going to have the county bus. The bus would take over that route, and I might have an option to take the Metro Access. Have a Metro Access trips card, and it'll come in my benefit. And also, I guess I did ask this question before. No, the only time my employees pay is the Metro Access. It's like $9 a round trip or month. But the other providers, all those will be free, like Metro Rail, Metro Bus, the bus, White On in Montgomery County, some in DC, I think Maryland, and maybe DC too. But I have to go with Easy Pay and have my account right there, and my work can have money on my account and pay my Metro Access. The rest of the provider will be free. I don't know if that's gonna happen in the Purple Line unless I have to pay. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Ray, do you want to answer that question?
Yes. So on the fare pieces, I can assure you that we're looking at all of these different things that do come into question, given the integration of our system with the WMATA system, and really looking to think of like what are the things that the riders will experience when trying to transition from WMATA to the Purple Line or vice versa. And then also how does it work with the bus system that's within the area, given the changes that WMATA is making with the bus system and the routes. We're looking at that and seeing how that may correlate or line up with the Purple Line too, because we want to continue that seamless transition and transportation connectivity for all the riders, because we want to have the riders to be able to go across the 16 miles from Bethesda. And if you want to go all the way to Carrollton, to be able to go the full 16 miles with as much ease as possible. Don't have a lot more details to give you on anything WMATA related, but on the Purple Line side, we are looking into everything and working closely with WMATA on finalizing all the details and how everything works seamless between the two, as seamless as possible.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Joel. I'm going to say in the chat, we have a couple more questions here, excuse me. Zachary asks, the update on Chevy Chase Lake Drive mentioned restoring the landscaping north of Chevy Chase Lake Drive. Will there be any landscaping or replanting south of Chevy Chase Lake Drive, given the significant number of mature trees removed for the utility work? Scott, do you want to take this one?
Sure. On the south side of, when I mentioned the north side of Chevy Chase Lakes Drive, there is a landscaping plan for that area. I am not certain off the top of my head if there's landscaping that's included on the south side with the restoration, but we can follow up and give you that information.
Perfect. Thank you, Scott. We have two questions about graffiti in the chat, and it's asking about removing graffiti on light rail right-of-ways or associated tunnels and bridges, and how that is being handled. Scott or Ray, would you prefer to take this one, or Luis PLTO?
I can respond. There are large corridors through the alignment while it's under construction under the contractors. It's the contractor's responsibility for the upkeep and removal of that vandalism where it occurs. So where we have that, you've seen in some of the pictures and the updates, and even as you're driving along the alignment, that there's places where that's happened. We have had large areas that have had anti-graffiti paint applied, and in the meantime, when there's new graffiti that's added, even in areas where there's not anti-graffiti coating applied, we have processes to come out to remove those and then mobilize with the anti-graffiti coating. And that is actually for the portion of the segment from Pearl Street, the BET, all the way through Rock Creek. That is coming very, very soon as far as the anti-graffiti coating. A lot of the noise walls through that corridor have been a prolonged delivery, and they've been getting installed and are mostly all installed now. So that's why we have that, have been waiting on that. So that'll all be happening now, and what's been painted will be removed.
Thank you, Scott. Ray, did you want to add anything to that, or do you want me to jump to the next one?
No, I see the next question now. I appreciate the question, Amanda. And will CAT members get a discount on the fare? I'll keep that in mind as we're having our discussions, but I can't say that you'll get a discount. But we do encourage you to ride the Purple Line, as we know you have supported us all along the way, and know you're looking forward to the revenue service day just as much as we are, as we're getting closer and closer. Back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Ray. There's a question here. Will there be a stop at Bethesda Chevy Chase High School, or will the stop at Bethesda Metro be the closest? There's only 2 stops in Bethesda, so the Bethesda Metro and then the Connecticut Avenue station. So the Bethesda Metro would be the closest. Ray, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you've covered it. And if we want to drop the link to the map on the website, I know we're putting a lot of links in there, but it just helps you do some wayfinding on the website. If you go to the website, that'll help you to position yourself and understand where the alignment is and the best way to get to the Purple Line, so that you can ride the Purple Line, which is what we're looking forward to.
Perfect. I'll do one more in the chat and then I'll jump to note there's a hand raised. Clark said that they were unable to mute, recommending that we equip Purple Line streetcars with bells, which when used frequently, bells are more pleasant to people's ears than horns. And we agree. And that LRV is equipped with a bell. I believe that was discussed earlier, but Ray, do you want to add anything to that?
When you, I guess I'm trying to understand what the question is.
I think it was just a comment about using bells rather than horns, but just to see if you wanted to add anything to it. But the LRVs do have bells on them, like Louise and Roland mentioned before.
No, for the most part, it will be the bells.
Thank you, Roland. I have one hand raised here. Barney, we'd love to hear your question.
Sure. Well, we've answered a lot of the others. I really appreciate it. But just one more, a very modest question. The noise walls are great. And as you know, we have 6 feet behind our homes, which we really appreciate, with the change order that we agreed to and you guys have complied with. So all that's good. What I've noticed is that there's a pillar that rises up between the different sections of the noise wall. I'm wondering whether there's any cap over that pillar, because otherwise it looks like water can run right down between the buttress, if you will, or the stanchion and the actual the walls themselves, sections of wall. Is there any intention, is that meant to be kept waterproof, or is that not a concern to have water potentially collect inside of the area between the steel post and the section of wall?
Scott,
Yeah,
do you want to?
Yeah, there is not a cap designed for those, and the nature of the bottom of those posts, it's a free draining system, so the water.
So it'll drain out, so it'll dry. It's not going to have any stagnant water or cause any corrosion or anything like that.
Correct.
Okay, just curious. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. I don't see any more hands raised. I see. There's a question here. We answered the question about vandalism and graffiti there. Beth has a question. She says, I wasn't clear about the answer to the question about accommodations for people with disabilities, especially reduced fares for people who qualify. Ray, do you have anything on that?
Yeah, to go back to the response on the fares are still being determined and being discussed between at MTA headquarters and with MDOT and all of that on what the fares will be. So we don't really have details on that piece to share at this time. Hopefully that answers your question, but we are working to get more details to be able to share in the future on the fares.
Thank you, Ray. I don't see any other hands raised. Beth asked a follow-up question. If a person has a reduced fare on WMATA, will they have a reduced fare on the Purple Line?
Again, on the fares, it's still being determined, and that's being determined at the Maryland Transit Administration side, the headquarters, and we're working closely with WMATA. So I don't have additional details to share at this time tonight on the fares, but as soon as we get more details, we'll be sure to take into account all of these things which are being considered as the fare is being looked at. So I appreciate the questions, but unfortunately I don't have any responses or any details I can give you at this time.
Thank you, Ray.
I have a question.
Joel, go ahead, sure.
Yeah. On my phone is a chat on my phone. Will I be able to, when I go check back later, will I be able to see the chat on the website?
If you have any questions, Joel, you can reach out to our outreach team and we're happy to answer your questions. Does that help?
I have the chat right now. I didn't know. I was looking at to the chat, but
yeah, we're gonna post all the answers to those.
When the meeting's over, will that be also posted on the website, or
yes, they will all be posted on the website. You got it. They will all be posted on the website. All the questions that were asked out loud and then asked in the chat as well will be placed on the website within the next few weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. I don't see anybody who has their hand raised, so I'm going to offer one more time for questions, and if not, we can wrap this up. But if your question was not, sorry, the answers to the questions that were asked tonight will all be posted, like I said, on the website later. Similar questions can also be asked up until next Thursday. If you have a question that you thought of after the meeting, you can reach out to the outreach team at outreach@purplelinemd.com. By next Thursday, and we can absolutely add your question to our question and responses. I'm going to ask one more time if anybody has a question to raise their hand. If not,
when will the video be available? Tonight's presentation. When will we get the link for that so we can send it around?
Absolutely. So the video is turned around pretty quickly. We've generally been posting it. I believe the day after. Kat, correct me if I'm wrong, but the PDFs of this presentation and the video are posted generally the next day.
Great. Okay,
yes, the recording will be available on our YouTube channel tomorrow, and I'll put that link again. It's in the earlier chat, but I'll put it in at the end just so you have it.
Thank you. That'd be great. Appreciate it.
And
thank
Chris,
you, Pat. Thank you, Barney. And Ray, go ahead.
If we can jump back to the graffiti question, because there was some additional questions asked about it, in particular who handles the graffiti piece. Louise, I don't know if you want to come on to talk from Purple Line Transit operators.
Yes, there was a question from Andy asking who will handle the graffitis, right? After, we go into operation, we open. So during operations, when an incident occurs of graffiti, right, PLTO will make every effort to address those graffiti within 48 hours, right, of detection of the incident. And additionally, right, Maryland State Police, along with Montgomery County Police, if necessary, will be alerted, right, about the incident, because that's classifies as a vandalism. So we will make every effort, right, to remove the graffitis on that area. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Louise.
Just one little follow-up here, Scott. There was a question about Chevy Chase Lake Drive. Following the final realignment of Chevy Chase Lake Drive, what part of the street will be repaved?
I guess there's two responses. The tire width will be maintained that was originally there. It is during the sequence of the temporary alignments that we're setting up to install these utilities in this box culvert. I would say the curve of the roadway kind of changes a little bit. That's temporary, and when in the final condition, the original curve that was in the alignment of the road will be returned to match where it ties in with the existing. And then as far as the length of the limits of the restoration and the paving, I don't know the specific limits of our repaving really off the top of my head. That's another one that I would have to get back to, because it certainly extends up to the point of where we've done utility replacements, but I don't know for certain how many feet. I could tell you online right now.
Thank you, Scott. Speaking of paving, I'm just going to add this one more question. I know this is not in Bethesda, but will Brookville Road in Silver Spring be paved after Purple Line construction is finished?
There is a portion of Brookville Road along the parking lot area, along Brookville Road, where the county parking lot is repaved by the Purple Line project, and that ties in with the Littonsville Bridge on both sides, the Littonsville Bridge. So there is new roadway paving that will be installed there, depending on the nature of the question. It might not go to the extent that you're thinking.
Okay, thank you for that information, Scott. Okay, I do not see any other hands raised. or any questions in the chat. So again, if you have any other questions, you're more than welcome to email them to outreach@purplelinemd.com by next Thursday. We're happy to answer them. And this will conclude our Bethesda Chevy Chase CAT presentation. Thank you for joining, everyone.